I say simply that we as a society have to understand the role of three sectors. The first is the nonprofit business sector. That's the economic generator for the support of everything else that happens. And so the private for-profit sector has to be recognized as the heart of our society. It's the economic generator, and without generating resources, you don't have the resources for the public sector to do it. And we need government. We need government, public institutions and services at the local level, in the city and the county and the state and the national level. And so we recognize the role of government sort of goes ebbs and tides. It rises and it shortens and so forth. But certainly the role and the impact on the daily life of each of us, of government, is so much greater than when I was a kid, for example, or than it was 20 years ago, that we need to recognize that as a society. And some of that is very positive, and some of it I question whether that's a proper role for government. So there's that debate. The third sector is the nonprofit sector. And if you look at life at the community, where life is lived by most of us, now some of us, our community is much different, but for a lot of people, the community is fairly narrow and fairly restricted. They may travel a little bit, but life is pretty local. But in any event, life is lived at a community level, and much of the character and the quality of life at the community level is determined by the nonprofit sector. But that requires collaboration between the nonprofit sector with the public sector, and both of them have to have the resources generated by the business sector. So the connections are inevitable, necessary, vital, and generally positive. But right now, in the state legislature, we do not have a lot of understanding of the importance and the role of the nonprofit sector. And so we do away with tax credits. And that's just one little piece of the whole problem of the budget. And we've been indulging and living beyond our means, not as badly at the state level as at the national level. But to think then that we can quit doing and not be concerned about the consequences of the decisions we make in the legislature, the governor's office, that the consequence of those will be felt in every community as the impact is felt. So I think that's probably the biggest challenge. But that's a lack of understanding and real appreciation for that as you meet as a legislator or as a governor dealing with the horrendous problems which that office has. So, and then so one is that relationship to support in public policy regarding finance. And at the national level, I understand that's one of the things they're talking about in this big committee of 12. And it's an incredible consequence that 2 of the 3 House representatives on that group are from Michigan.
Yes.
And pretty well informed about what CMF's done and so forth. So hopefully they will have understanding of that. But I think that's, in general, there's a problem of articulating the nonprofit sector and having people understand what it is and where it is and what it does, because a lot of what it does, in a sense, is invisible to other than the direct beneficiaries.